Alright guys, here we're talking about Season 5, Episode 16 of The Twilight Zone. So this is a concept I can get behind.
Oh, good. Okay.
I
was like, you're going to hate this episode. I kind of like this episode.
No.
I hated it for like a while.
it's definitely interesting. So the premise of this episode is a man who has the ability to trade parts of himself and others back and forth as long as they have a verbal agreement.
I was going to say, like, he has some weird, like, Lucifer contract power where he can, like, make you a deal and it will always, like, apply somehow. Yeah. So it's really interesting.
But how, like, and it's weird that he could go this far into his life without realizing he had this power or that he just got this power.
Yeah,
Isn't that a little odd?
I don't know about that part.
Because
that's the only part where I'm kind of like...
And I guess, how often have I offered to trade parts of myself and they agreed to it and like maybe never?
Yeah, I don't know if we're meant to think that he always had it or if he just got it now, but it starts in the hospital. And I like that like example of it because the guy says, well, a cough at my age is like debilitating. A young, strong man like you. And then he's like, yeah, let's trade. So like he's always trying to trade to like win out in the end anyway. And that kind of sets up that concept going forward, which I like. I thought
so
it was
he
cool,
does trade his broken hand for a man's cough. Maybe it was a little worse than a cough, but either way, he got it, shrugged it off, it was gone.
Yeah.
And this other man has now a broken hand. He's like, it'll never heal at my age. Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, poor bastard.
So like that part to me was almost like a Tales from the Crypt thing. That was like an interesting, like weirdly interesting, dark like thing of it or whatever.
Yes.
Then we go into like the goofy middle of the episode that I wasn't as into.
So then he follows this up like immediately learning and knowing how it works, trades his youth to an older man who has a lot of money. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And then the moment he then swings it where he's like, well, I got a lot of money now. And he starts buying youth back.
There's some weird, it's almost like capitalism or some weird thing where it's like, I'm going to bulk trade all of my youth to this rich guy, but then I'm going to like rip off a million young guys to get like a little, and come out like far ahead or something like that. I'm like, this is genius.
What does he give, like $100? Or?
Yeah, he finds these rubes who are like, okay, mister. And then they're like,
well, that's partly the best part about it is that people don't even seem to have to understand that it's actually real. Like I could say like jokingly, aha! I would give you $1,000 right now for your working legs. Yeah. You're like, okay. They take $1,000 and walk away.
Yeah, whatever.
And then wake up and my legs are fucking fine.
Or like you're walking away and then that guy stands up out of the wheelchair and this guy crumbles down. Yeah. And it's just like, wait, what? It's amazing, like power. Yeah.
No, it's very funny. Or like you've got a great sense of humor to some comedian. Yeah. I'd give you $1,000 for your sense of humor. Here you are, sir. Oh.
Yeah, everybody would just think that he's an
people,
idiot.
they think you're dumb and giving me free money.
We agree, right? You agree? You agree? And he's like, yes. And he goes, and he's like, it's like this. It's crazy. It's amazing. Yeah.
Very, but like it's weird because he's eventually he's trading things like, oh, I want like you have a great speech pattern. I would like that from you.
I love that. Like again, it has like a horror vibe to it, where it's like I met a young college boy and I paid him to improve the way I speak, or some weird. He worded it this weird way where they're all like, oh well, I'm good for you, man. Like it's this weird thing, and he's like,
I didn't particularly notice his cadence of speech change very much, but she noticed on the dime.
Yeah.
This episode does have
like a story thing.
Its faults, and that's not even one of them. Like the fault for me. So we go further on into this.
Yeah.
And
so he's been trying to get this girl, which is weird because she doesn't like him. Her father doesn't like him.
Very weird. It's just a prize thing with him. He doesn't really want her. It doesn't seem.
He admits that later, but even so, it just feels it feels like a weird element that I did not like of this whole thing.
Well, because he gets to a point where he literally could have anything he wants via his ability to devil trade or buy. He can have anything.
And we're supposed to say like, well, but he wants her for some reason. But there's not enough time in like an episode this length to like fully set that up.
We have that problem again later,
Okay, to like do that sort of thing, right. So the father, this whole thing, whatever, he comes back. He's young and rich. He's got superpowers. Sylar has stolen everyone's powers. He's like the perfect man, and she's still like they're kissing even, and she's like, you don't get it. It's not that. It's something you can't buy. It's something deeper. It's something more. No, I don't like you or whatever, right? Yeah. And then there's a little conversation. He offers the dad some deal. We don't know what it is yet. And then when he comes back, they're like, she's fully loving on him. It's the whole thing. Everything's great, right? Yeah. You set up. There's like, wait, what?
No, doesn't he offer him $100,000? I thought we did know what he offered.
Yeah. We don't know the other end of the deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we don't know what he's trading for.
But what was the exact wording for what he took his compassion?
Well,
what did he take?
So once he comes back, the guy goes in there, the daughter runs upstairs or something like that, and now he's talking to the dad. That's when he admits that like this is she was just a prize, but now I really love her, so I'm asking you forgiveness. Don't you understand all this stuff?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, he says something like, have some compassion, and he goes, compassion? You traded that you traded that away yesterday, and pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Yeah. So this is where the biggest issue of the world comes in. So he had traded him for his compassion, and then somehow wooed and like seemingly took a lifelong relationship with this girl.
Yeah.
In an afternoon, because it was like
she was like, you have changed, and then he's like, okay, now we're good, and because now I'm compassionate. Like part of me kind of loves the idea of like this is very Tales from the Crypt, like literally, like you do all these things, then you get to like the final thing that you think is gonna like secure your victory, but it actually seals your fate, right?
Sure.
When he's like, for some reason I had to get the compassion from the one guy whose compassion was the only thing keeping him from being like, stay away from my daughter and all that stuff, right? So it's this nice weird thing, but it doesn't.
It's the timeline
work.
And the timeline is the problem. It's not even a thing where it suffers necessarily from it being a short episode, because honestly, had they just said like 1 year later, I would have been like, cool, okay, he took time to woo her. Because honestly, if I made you the most compassionate motherfucker in the world, but I told you yesterday I hate you, there's not much you could do that by tomorrow this time I would have a 180 flip on
this. As the most compassionate motherfucker in the world, you'd probably be like, I respect your decision, that's okay, you're valid and all that stuff. I don't see why he'd be like full court press, I'm taking you out tonight.
Are we to believe that this character would have killed her dad or whatever in this situation? Because is it that I always thought it was a swap. I guess he just straight up took all his compassion and gave him and left him with none.
The swap was money for the compassion. Yeah.
And that's also a twist
on
almost what's like, because originally it's a trade, and I guess it then turns from that like that he doesn't have to trade. He can actually just do whatever he wants.
Well, he was trading money for wealth. Back and forth.
It didn't click though, because none of those really impacted you the other way. He can just give money away.
They were in like a jam, I think, because if he gets the father's compassion, the father needs to then react his like without that thing that makes him so chill. Now he's like gonna retaliate or whatever the fuck. Right?
Yes.
So had there been a year, it would have been weird. Like, why do you pick today to shoot him? Like, that's crazy.
I guess, but it doesn't make sense.
There should have been some other like thing introduced.
You'd also think though, within like if in 1 day of having compassion you could woo and win the daughter over, you'd think 1 day of no compassion the father could have already alienated the daughter and she could have just left for him.
Sure.
So it's strange.
Yeah. And there was no, like in the movie version of this, the father's acting weird. You're not even sure why. They don't show them making a deal.
Yes.
It slowly builds up. I told you you're not going out with him anymore. It gets He's like, what the, John Lithgow, what the hell, you've changed. Like, he like turns on a dime, it's this beautiful thing. But here it was just literally like, they just put on like a different shirt and walked back on set and kept rolling. Like, it felt very
a little rushed.
Yeah, which is how this happens on these episodes.
Yeah. But usually it's because there's not an ability to do something. Like I think they could have slipped some of that in there.
Yeah, I think they had that thing that I reacted so strongly to of like, oh, you got the compassion from him and that sealed your fate, and they worked backwards or something, and it didn't all tie together well or something like that.
Yeah, it could have been a little better. But overall, the premise
I still liked it.
I think you can have a lot of fun with this, especially if you do it the way he did, where you start off with giving the youth for money and just working your way back.
No, I think
you could easily get an army of junkies and just start taking.
No, and like you say so much, like, oh, this person got this power, or this person had this thing, they had the amulet, they had the thing, they had the wishes, but they screwed it up. Why would you ever do this? Why would you ever write? But this guy and Rod,
he played himself. Well, but Rod, he didn't lose.
He like approached it really like methodically from the start in a way that I feel like, especially you, I responded to it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. He's actually he's like, right?
This wasn't the case of a person just he lost because he's an idiot. Like, he did lose in quotes, but it wasn't like, oh no, I'm cursed. I can't possibly have all this greatness.
What I mean is like there's another version of this where he trades away the like wealth for the youth, and then he's like, I've got it now. But then like, oh, the thing was, now he realizes money isn't everything, and it was his youth that was good, and like that's the whole thing, right? But here he like and Rod Serling's voiceover mentions that he had like his real ability is this thing of like finding out how to win and like wheel and deal or something like that. He's like a gangster, rough character guy, and he applies all that to the supernatural thing, and I love that. It isn't like he just suddenly becomes like a weird lovesick idiot.
Yes.
In the face of having a power.
No, it worked out nicely for me up until the exact ending, which I don't care how it ended. That wasn't the problem. It's just the rushed nature of the ending itself.
Yeah, I think it's like a good air horn moment of like compassion. Don't you remember? He told it to me yesterday and shoots him, but it wasn't
the
properly.
Word yesterday. Even if you said last week, I would have been like, okay.
Or just you sold, something like
sold that to me a month ago.
You sold that to me or whatever. Yeah, right.
Got him.
Even like a short period of time would have helped you.
Enough time to convince this girl to go out with you again.
Yes.
And like
because it kind of trivializes the whole girl's lady's part in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where he could show up the next day and seemingly have changed his whole personality, and she's like, oh great, everything's fine.
Yeah, it wouldn't come off as like you're lying or crazy or anything. Yeah.
Like right after you laid it out for him, like no, you got to be gentle. And he comes back, I'm gentle, baby.
Even if the dad was fine, it's like, okay, you've now been officially going out for half a day and you're going to ask to marry her, I'd shoot you too. Get the fuck away.
I'd shoot you too. Let it marinate for a little bit, son. Yeah.
That bullet marinade.
So all in all, I didn't hate it, but it's not, one of the amazing, right? It's like mid-tier.
I've said many times, it's does the episode get my mind going, and this one does, and I'm like, what would I do? How would I work this? This sounds pretty good.
Possibly the first one in kind of a long time that really has a nice thing like that, honestly. Killer cars and other stuff.
Yeah, there's been some bullshit
There's been some things where I'm like, what lesson am I meant to learn here? But this is a nice thing of like trying to get what you want and what you do to get it and how that affects you and stuff. It's good times. Yeah.
Be careful. You might get what you want. All right, guys. So that was this episode of the Twilight Zone. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.